my favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie. It feels like a real like, go to the theater film movie that, you kind of the reason why you go to watch something on the big screen.
Watching Chris Pine's neck tense up when he starts talking is one of the greatest things ever.
I was going to say Chris Pine next to Ben Affleck when they're just going through that moment of realization.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Copyright. I'll do it. I'm gonna do acoustic versions of all those songs so we can use them here.
Nice.
Just do a round robin of cringe where guys are on camera just going.
We're gonna do a tier list of cringe moments.
Ooh, I like that.
No, that'd be too much. I can only do one or two at a time.
Oh,
my social meter will only allow a couple at a time.
I want to see a dozen cringe moments.
I totally derailed this right off the bat. I'm sorry. Should we introduce ourselves?
No, they know who we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Issue podcast. As you might have seen from our opener, we're going to be talking about a movie that feels like a movie, man.
Yeah. Oh my God.
This movie. A movie. This is what movies are made out of.
Yeah, like going to the theater movie.
That's right. We're going to be talking about Godzilla -1. We're actually going to start with that. And then, after we get through all our Godzilla conversation, which we will be doing spoilers. If you haven't seen Godzilla -1, go check it out.
Yeah.
It's available now on Netflix, or you can buy it or rent it wherever you do that, or
Blockbuster.
I think Blockbuster should be code for like taking to the high seas now.
Yeah.
I just got it at Blockbuster. Like, who's gonna question that? So, but yeah, we're gonna get into it. This is a film that I was able to watch. So, was this everyone's first time watching it?
Yes.
For the show.
Oh, I saw it.
I saw it in the theater as well.
Will be my last.
Oh.
You don't watch the movie while we're doing the review.
That sounded like he was watching some other stuff.
No, sorry. I was trying to look it up on Netflix and it started playing that stupid audio in the background when.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? What show was it?
Bridgerton. That's the first thing that popped up.
That's how we get an audience in this podcast.
There you go.
If we
Speak to the children.
Fully dive into the Bridgerton of it all. Let's say Bridgerton a few more times so the algorithm picks it up.
Yes.
We're just gonna go around. Yeah, we're just gonna go around. Everybody give me your best Bridgerton. Hold on.
We want to really get it in there.
Clay, go ahead. Give me one. Give me your best one.
I'm too old to watch Bridgerton.
All right, Jeff?
Bridgerton is a show on Netflix.
Josh?
Bridgerton? More like Bridgerton. No, I'm nothing.
All right. Well, that was our Bridgerton segment for the week. Come back and check out what we do next week.
So is Bridgerton? Do you watch Bridgerton?
No,
Daniel. Oh, okay. I was like, is it just Game of Thrones without the dragons? I think that's what it is.
I think it's Game of Thrones without the pants.
Yeah, I was gonna say no.
I think it's Game of Thrones without the pants.
I thought it was Downton Abbey without pants and dragons.
Oh yeah, that might be it.
Okay.
It's Godzilla -1 minus Godzilla minus
plus
pants
plus a bunch of British people
plus more color.
Godzilla plus pants.
Masterful segue, Jeff. So they look okay, cool. I just wanted to know because, man, this movie to me it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We saw funny enough, I think we got two trailers almost back to back for Godzilla properties, right? Because they had just announced the New Empire.
Yep.
Godzilla X Kong, New Empire, everybody's favorite X. And then also we have I think like a week before or a week later, we had the Godzilla -1 trailer, and we were all like, "Oh, we're in for a Godzilla fest like in the next few months."
And I'm glad they did them in that order. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say Monarch was happening at the same time too.
Oh, that's what it was. It was a trailer for Monarch.
Right. Yeah. But no, I'm glad they did them in that order, because I could imagine an alternate universe where they flipped releasing those, and the Kong Godzilla would have just overshadowed this amazing movie, right? So
yeah, it's always interesting with foreign films because there's so many, especially with, I feel like Toho has a lot of restrictions to their schedule. And originally it was only supposed to be in theaters for like a week. And then the demand just grew. Like after that opening weekend, the demand was like, oh, people really are digging this film.
Mm-hmm.
They extended it for like a month, if I'm not mistaken. So
and then re-released it in black and white.
Right.
And wow.
And that was partly why I opened Netflix, because I was curious if they were offering both versions, but it doesn't look like it.
Oh, I thought they were.
Are they? Maybe I just am stupid.
I mean, both things could be true.
You're not wrong.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I'm just kidding. You're our finest academic on the show.
Oh, geez, let's not put too much pressure on me here.
But have they released the Snyder cut of Godzilla?
I mean, the black and white edition will be available this summer.
Okay, there we go.
As well as the Rebel Moon Snyder cut will also be available later on. So,
Jesus,
Netflix is gonna have them all. Just every cut of every movie you've ever wanted to see.
I'm really worried about Netflix's algorithm knowing me too well, because my results are Godzilla -1, and Top Secret. and I've been wanting to rewatch Top Secret, so I'm like, oh, this is perfect. What a great afternoon.
Yeah. I do, before we get into this one, I do want to check out, I haven't seen Shin Godzilla.
Oh, so good. Yeah. So good.
I hear very good things.
You didn't like it, Clay?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it. Shin Godzilla is amazing. And I would have said before Godzilla -1 that Shin Godzilla was the greatest Godzilla movie ever made, slightly above the original Godzilla. Just slightly. So
in 1998, Matthew Broderick.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
I love that Godzilla. I know people hate it, but I love that Godzilla.
That's what we're doing next week.
next time Kyle shows up, he has to discuss the best parts of American Godzilla.
We'll do the good Godzilla movies when Kyle can't make it, and then we'll do the hated Godzilla movies anytime Kyle's going to show up.
There's probably an 80% chance that Kyle also likes that Godzilla Broderick movie. I'm just saying.
So, let's get into it.
I mean, we did do the Transformers one without Kyle as well.
We did.
So we need to figure out.
And that's one of our most viewed streams. I'm not going to say it was because he wasn't here, but it's not because he wasn't. Man, people just hate Kyle. It's weird. Okay. So let's talk about just initial thoughts after, and Clay, we'll go to you since you're kind of the, I don't know if you guys rewatched. I rewatched it for this, but since you're the freshest experience.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, everything, like there are just moments in the film that are fantastic, you know, that set the tone, like on the island at the beginning when you see the mechanics and you've got one gunner and see, it took me a while to figure out, oh, he came back, you know, because of problems, but it's like, you know, the intent for this pilot was to be a kamikaze and die and not come back.
Yeah.
And so, you know, hey, come fix my airplane because I have technical problems. You know, seems like a way to run away, but it's to come back and have that, like, not only did he feel like he failed his people in his mission, but he failed the mechanics when he was unable to fire the gun. So this guy is not only at such a low moment, he is at an extra low moment because he's going to have survivor's guilt from everything he's been through, you know, and that's like the first 15. So that establishes our character. We're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And then to return home and to see the devastation. Unbelievable shots.
His emotional status, it's a reflection of the country as a whole, right? Like after World War II and everything that happened. So
yeah, I think for me though, like it's later in the film when after they've, you know, seen Godzilla and everything, and the people come together and they're in the room and they have the military leader come in and say, y'all aren't required to be here. Like, because they're all devastated. They're like, you know, we've just all been through war and survived, and now you're asking us to go through this again. But that speech in that moment where everyone just kind of agrees that they're going to do this for their country is just so inspiring. It's like, I mean, it gets you like that. But you wouldn't believe that this small group of, I mean, it's like a neighborhood. It's like a neighborhood coming together and saying, we're going to stop this giant monster because one guy has a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
I could be misremembering, but aren't there right at that moment when he says, if you don't want to do this, leave, right? And some people leave.
Yeah.
And I found that even more powerful, right? I feel like if they had all, like to me, that's the difference between, again, I'm always going to shit on the guys that made that Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie and also Independence Day. But like, if they had made this movie, every one of them would have been like, no, we're staying, an arousing thing. But this is very human. It's like some people are like, no, right? Like, this is too much. And they turn and leave. And that makes those that stay even more, I don't want to say heroic, but like more, it's more emotionally powerful, right?
Yeah. Because you don't have that, today we celebrate our Independence Day. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. That's a powerful moment too, all right?
But that's an American moment. That's an American moment.
Yes.
Because in an American theater, if you had people who were walking out, people would be mad at those people and just be pissy. You know, they're like, everybody would do it for America. And it's
right.
Like,
I'm home, boys.
Save it. We're almost at the 4th of July show. Save it for the 4th of July.
That's right. Yeah. All right.
I know Clay's patriotism knows no bounds. So
I think Gen X, the generation's patriotism knows no bounds.
Yeah.
It's just
we were the greatest generation for real.
goddamn right.
Hell yeah.
I'll say the most resilient of anything.
yeah, because we're going to have to
World War
clean
II.
once the boomers die off, and it can't be soon enough.
Yeah, then you guys will turn into the boomers, and then we'll see who's laughing.
No. Gen X does not want to fucking be the boomers. We don't even want to be in charge. We want to sit in the back of the class. And,
Gen X is like, we'll die before we turn into boomers. How dare you?
yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Fuck those
you're doing
guys.
all this shit without health insurance, all right? So
No, we would just like to reset it back to when we could go to the emergency room, pay $100, and that was it.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
we know that existed at some time. Somebody fucked it up.
It's Reagan.
Always Reagan.
It's Reagan. It's always Reagan. Godzilla -1 is the Rambo of Godzilla movies. Is how I'm going to describe it.
Hold on. Let's unpack that.
Yeah, Rambo is a action. It's a movie about war trauma disguised as an action movie. Godzilla -1 is a movie about war trauma disguised as a monster movie, Godzilla movie. And I agree with Clay. There's the secret about Godzilla -1 is that it's about the people of Japan being forced into this war that they probably didn't want anything to do with, really, because we're just talking about the normal people. And so they have a giant, in reality, they have 2 giant bombs dropped on them. And then they're kind of, the Japanese government just kind of abandons them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, fix it yourselves. And so these small individual, areas were like, I guess we have to pull up the bootstraps and do it ourselves. So yeah, that's what makes this movie a better Godzilla movie than just him beating Jet Jaguar or whatever. But But
Yeah,
Jaguar is still fun. Like those, I love those movies.
I did think it was very powerful when the cop tried to run Godzilla out of town
Mhm.
as he was coming back. It's just very
When
subtle.
Mothra shows up and is just like, and he's on the walkie-talkie with Godzilla, and he's like, "Come on home, Godzilla, come on home."
Actually, confession time, and you guys, I mean, I've never seen First Blood.
I didn't either, actually. Yeah.
But when I realized what the plot was, my mind was blown because I haven't seen any First Blood movies, but I know about how ridiculous they get after the first one.
Yeah.
But when
the first one is Rambo, then the second one is Rambo First Blood. So,
I thought the first one was called First Blood.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
oh no, that's right, because they do call it Rambo in like the fifth
And then
movie. So it is
Rambo
First
Part
Blood,
Two.
then it's Rambo.
They don't use his name till afterwards, which also the first, I think we were talking about Mad Max the other day. The first film is just called Mad Max. Then the subsequent films start adding the subtitles. So
Yeah.
The thing I love about the Rambo movies is because, again, I would love a younger generation to sit down and watch them and see just the massive tonal shift between 1 and 2 and 3. But the thing is, 1 is basically a reflection of 1970s cinema, and 2 onward are a reflection of 80s cinema, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it's like they took this property, like, well, but the 80s are different. Yeah, they just kind of ran with it. So, yeah.
Listen, we got over Vietnam. Let's go.
Yeah, there were so many 70s movies that were action movies that were about peace. You know, you had Billy Jack, Walking Tall, people who returned to their communities. They had been filled with corruption, and one guy's going to stop it all. And that was the theme of a lot of those action flicks back in the 70s, and they were awesome. But
when are we gonna have a Billy Jack episode?
A Billy Jack episode. But like when you remake, like they remade Walking Tall with The Rock, and it had just really no kind of political.
The Rock and Johnny Knoxville, please.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that superstar team up. I mean,
Jesus,
it's almost as good as The Rock and the guy from American Pie team up.
The Rundown is a fucking great movie, though.
Oh, I love The Rundown too.
I love The Rundown, but it's not it doesn't have a political ideal like Walking Tall did in the beginning. I mean, Walking Tall.
I mean, it does if you live in South America.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Josh, what did you initial thoughts on Godzilla -1?
I loved it. I saw it in the theater. I honestly didn't have a chance to rewatch it. I wanted to, but I saw it in the theater, and it's such a powerful movie. But I think the thing hey, it's Adrian.
Holy shit! There's been a sighting.
I know. Wow, dude, where have you been? I think the thing I love about, in particular, like the opening, is how genuinely terrifying they make Godzilla, right? I mean, when you think about most Godzilla films after the original and after Shin Godzilla, it is very much about Godzilla as the hero. So you get pumped up every time he shows up. This film is like, he shows up, you're like, oh God, we're all gonna die. You know, it's like, it's stunning. And just, man, what I loved all of the low shots in that opening scene. So you get this like human scale of like what it would be like if Godzilla just like fucking walked onto an island that you're on. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
And he's not even like at full size.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He's not even at full size at the beach there, right? Like it's still, which we'll talk about his growth. I think it's an interesting thing, especially towards that end scene.
But the elevation of violence from the island to where he's just stomping on people to where you get to see him do his first, shot of the radiation breath. But when he's in the town just tearing things down, you see him just grab a building.
Yeah.
And just holy shit. And
he bites that dude.
Oh, just picking up people and throwing them. Just, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, and then, and I love the character arc for the main character, right? Because, like you said, Danny, at the beginning, he's kind of this embodiment of all of Japan after World War II. But his character arc is also a very personal one, right? And so his growth is not about finding courage. His growth is about finding people that he wants to save, right? Like, you know, about having this family. And so again, like the stakes get higher and higher and higher because at a certain point, he doesn't want to die because he has people he wants to get back to, you know, but he has to. It's such an amazing progression. I don't know. I loved it so much.
I love the fact that he returns home. There are a couple of people who know that he's a kamikaze and he's failed his country.
Oh yeah,
and just the sadness of that the only way you can serve Japan is through death.
Yeah,
and that concept evolves to the end to where the mechanic who was so mad at him at the beginning of the film says, I've put in this release. I want you to live.
Yeah.
That is
oh god,
like just so important in the film to say, like, sometimes your government's wrong. You don't have to go die for their purpose because all you're doing is fighting for people with money. That's all. Yeah. You're fighting so that they can continue to live a better, richer life, and you might get help at the end. But as you see in this film, the government doesn't help anybody.
Well, the world completely, right? Because the U.S. won't come to help because of the tensions with Russia. They make that very clear, which I thought was a very clever way to kind of keep the rest of the world out of this conflict, and then completely abandons the town and the whole city of Ginza. I remember when I left the theater, like I made a short video and I was like, this Godzilla movie has made all of the Godzilla movies obsolete. Like it is the definitive Godzilla film, and that was probably an overstatement, but because I think each of them have their own thing but yeah, it was definitely the best one I've ever seen, and I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen quite a few, and it's just really good.
It is the one that does take advantage the most of the geopolitical, like the origins of Godzilla being a World War II. We dropped the bomb on them, and
I hear Shin Godzilla is also very political. Yes. I think it's more critical of the Japanese government than bureaucracy than anything, from what I've heard. So it's kind of a different approach. I think I've heard it's probably a good pairing as well.
Well, so I would argue, like, if you wanted to watch the best Godzilla movies, right, and the most I almost hate to say it this way, but like the most thoughtful ones, go watch the original.
Yeah.
Then watch Shin Godzilla, because the thing that Shin Godzilla does is it basically takes the template of the original Godzilla, and instead of making the point about nuclear war, it makes the point about bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is the villain, and it's what's driving the narrative in Shin Godzilla. Then go watch this one. And those three together will give you a sense that the great thing about Godzilla, what makes Godzilla such an amazing story, is how it reflects on these bigger ideas.
Yeah. And then go watch 1998 so you can learn all about Madison Square Garden.
And see Jean Reno and Matthew Broderick team up like you've never seen before.
Am I the only one that always associates that movie with Mountain Dew? Like, wasn't it like a Mountain Dew partnership?
That was peak Mountain Dew, I think.
And that was pre all the flavors.
Oh, yeah. So, do we want to get into the ending, or we want to talk about some other scenes?
Let's talk about some of the standout moments throughout the film, which I feel like we have to open up with the attack on Ginza, right? She is it Minami is going in the train. She finally got after they've been able to rebuild their life and kind of build this makeshift family, which I'm guessing was probably more of a common occurrence in Japan than not. Especially in smaller towns where people just kind of had to look out for each other. She's finally has a job in the city and she's commuting, which we all hate commuting anyway. God, can you imagine if kaijus were real? Like they would just disrupt the commute every day.
You're commuting and you're on public transportation, so it's like, oh, geez.
That train system looked pretty nice. I'm not gonna
It
lie.
did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
If public transportation was like that here, maybe I wouldn't bitch about it so much. But and then
I just imagine all the toxic managers who are like, Josh, you said there was a kaiju attack that came in, but the news reported that was from the south side, and I thought you lived up in the north, so I don't understand how the kaiju attack stopped you from coming into work.
No, I just moved. I'm actually up near the
I
kaiju.
need to see some
hold the train
paperwork.
tracks on both sides just to and then you get the music sting, right? And then,
Oh yeah, the
things are about
soundtrack to this is amazing. Oh,
and I love the Godzilla, especially this Godzilla theme it's amazing. Like the way they kind of revamped it up for this movie. So Godzilla attacks Ginza and like just starts destroying the city. Koichi, I said Minami. Minami is the name of the actress. Sorry, Noriko is the name of the character.
Yeah.
Koichi goes into the city because he knows that she's there. And Godzilla just lets loose that first time we see the blast with the spikes.
That is the coolest move.
Like them just popping out. Oh man.
And then destruction happens and Noriko pushes Koichi into the building so he won't die. Like that whole sequence was like, oh, we're cooking, baby.
Oh, well, it was the emotional breaking point. This guy had been through everything and then found this person like to connect with after everything in this kind of makeshift family of where she gives him a baby at the beginning while she's running. And then you realize as he finds her hiding that it's not even her baby. So it's just people taking care of each other. And that's really the most important thing that you see in this, because anytime there's a giant disaster, you're going to have local people help you out, but you're going to discover your neighbors more than ever as you try to recover stuff. I mean, that's what we've seen in a lot of the disasters that we've had in our time.
And then, you mean the month ago?
Like there was an iconic of Joplin, Missouri, when a tornado just cut through.
Yeah, I remember.
And you see there are like, I believe 2 firemen, but then there are just 4 individuals helping carry a body out of the debris because they don't have enough firefighters to help with all the damage and all the people. And that's when you learn that FEMA is a real piece of shit department for America, because they don't do anything helpful for anyone. So
and then you have the neighbor who was really mad at Koichi for coming back from the war when her kids didn't. But then she still kind of steps in and helps the baby. Right, she gives up her portion of rice that she had so that the baby can eat. That's
well, it's like you reach that point of like you can't live in that past, and you have to look at that infant as the future. Like I can't help that baby because I'm mourning everyone dead. I need to help what's here and what's now.
Yeah.
Well, and it provides hope, right? It provides hope and a purpose. So
that like this baby's whole family's wiped out. Somebody stepped up and took care of this kid. Right. Like even when he put the baby down, he looked at it like, I can't. It's a child. Like I just can't abandon this. This is the lowest point. I have to do something.
Yeah,
that's how you know this doesn't take place in America.
I mean, also them speaking Japanese led me to believe they weren't in America. But
now, sorry, Danny.
No, go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was gonna say, I appreciate the fact that if you had told me a segment of this movie was remaking Jaws and it did it well, I would have been like, you're a nuts. But it does. It's amazing. It's so good.
Let's get into that, because I love when he gets the job on the boat, which, what a crazy job, like disabling mines.
Yeah.
And
with a wooden boat.
That's something you obviously don't think about, right? After the war, like, and funny enough, it came up in that awful movie I watched last weekend of Under Paris, where there are still artillery shells in the canals. I don't know if that's true or not, but at least that in the movie they make it seem that way. But
They found one like in Delaware or someplace like on the East Coast like a couple of months ago, I think.
Oh, wow.
Right.
They had to tow it out to
that's
sea
why
and detonate it or whatever.
there's places where you can't do magnet fishing because they believe there might be stuff down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, just the points of war just still affecting us after all this time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just a great example of the inefficiency of government.
I love the crew though. Like, of course, you have Koichi, and then you have the captain,
Yeah.
who's hilarious and great.
He's so good.
You
And
have Doc.
I love the kid.
Well, my favorite is Doc. From the crew, I think Doc is my favorite.
I like Doc too. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I feel like I've seen him in something else.
He did look familiar. I was look him up.
Yeah.
I'm looking
But
at it.
and then of course, the kid who is somebody that still has those ideals because he never got to go to war or experience war.
Yeah.
He still has those ideals, and the captain gives him shit about it at the beginning because he's kind of throwing that in Koichi's face. Like, I would have, especially the audience knows that he was, that he didn't fulfill his mission. So like,
He was in Olympus Has Fallen.
I don't think that's where
I thought that might be where he was also in Hillbilly Elegy.
I have seen that film. I don't know if that's where I saw. I don't know if that's
the J.D. Vance
book. He's in the live action Last Airbender.
Okay.
Oh, maybe that's where I saw him.
Yeah, those are the only ones that I recognize.
Okay. But yeah, that I love the crew. Like, especially when they start coming to his house and they get a little like a close group.
Yeah, it's a perfect introduction too, because you get like Captain, Kid. He even gives them nicknames, so you know who's who, and you can follow them the rest of the film. And so it's neat seeing them work together because they kind of become this close knit team. And then when they have to go to this meeting, and they're like, "Hey, that guy's really smart because he's going to destroy Godzilla." They're like, they just don't even realize the intellect of a guy that they're dealing with on this little boat of 4 people.
And then to Josh's point, that first sequence, first of all, when Godzilla first attacks the other ship and just takes it down.
Oh, man, that big ass ship, and you're like, "Oh, fuck!"
The cinematic shot is amazing.
Yeah. It's great. They did so much in the water that I want to see more behind the scenes stuff of like how all that, because obviously a lot of it is CGI, but like there were boats there in the water. I'm sure like there's a lot of stuff that's not CGI, that's not or whatever. And I really like when they do the whole Godzilla's chasing them, so they drop the mines in its mouth, and I've never seen Godzilla regenerate. I don't know how much of the canon that like is that an ability that he's always had, because they blew up a mine in his mouth and he just like Wolverine back.
I feel like it is. I know that I believe that's a factor in Shin Godzilla 2, is that he can regenerate.
I wish Kyle was there.
I do think he does, but I feel like this is the fastest I've ever seen him. Usually it's like he gets blown up at the end of a movie, and then the next one he's back. At least through all those 70s Toho, whatever.
Several incarnations of Godzilla have been able to regenerate.
Yeah,
okay, makes sense. He's a lizard. Right, what else? What other sequences kind of stand out or moments in the film?
Anytime Godzilla's underwater and you get the overhead shot, just to see where you see a battleship and the epic size of it, because they usually will shoot it long so that you see how big it is, and then do an overhead shot, and then Godzilla's like bigger than the ship. And just the shot in when he's walking through the city, because you always get that in every movie, but the way they shoot it in this one, I love the angle, the sunset, the buildings.
And the reporters that are on the roof, and then the building collapses and the camera just follows them all the way down.
God, I forgot about that shot. Yeah. Oh man.
So amazing.
Also
like
fun to see the technology at the time, right? Because it's like it is, late 40s, late 40s.
Mid 40s.
So that was very, very interesting. Okay. Yeah. Any other special moments we want to talk about? I know we kind of covered some of the big ones, because I have a big question coming up.
I know. I'm ready.
Joe Jenkins kind of brought it up. Where in this film did you cry? Because I cried 2 times in this film.
Oh, okay. Which times?
So when their plan for Godzilla is kind of falling apart because they can't pull him back up. And then you hear the kid on the radio.
Yes.
And the boats show up, like all the neighbor, like all the small rowboats, and I was like, God, you did it.
that is what makes me miss a theater, when a theater will applaud a movie.
Yeah.
That was an applause moment that was so incredibly earned and just fantastically done.
And then Doctor Strange shows up.
I was about to say, better.
Right? Yeah.
That was their portal scene.
On your left, yeah.
I think. Well, okay, but wait. That was one, Danny. What's 2?
The other was just at the end where they're running up the hospital. And I don't know why I didn't put it together the first time I watched it.
Because so much is going on.
Because the neighbor gets the note, and she brings it to after they get rid of Godzilla. She brings it up, and he takes off running. I didn't realize that's where he was going.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Now, the logistics of how she survived what we saw on the screen, because it looked like a tornado. But yeah, when they start crying, and I started crying too. So
I realized it probably about half a second before he got in the room, and then I was just like, oh, "There's no way be this happy. There's no way this guy could come back. He has to have some sort of loss, but he's had so much loss through the movie.
Yeah,
he needs this. He deserves it.
He deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. And show me another movie that does that, and you don't roll your eyes at it, right? Like, this fucking movie nails it. It's so good. It's so good.
I think it's the level of death that happens from the movie, from the beginning, that you just go, there's no way anyone's coming back from this. There's no hope. That you only get that sense of hope when the kid shows up with the boats.
Yeah.
Because everything has gone wrong.
Yeah.
Until then. It's so good. Oh my God, I love this movie so much.
And I figured, before I let you guys, I guess, go, I did kind of figure that he had put in an ejector, even though they obviously don't mention it. Very much like the Dark Knight Returns. Like, you bring it up. Oh, the Dark Knight Rises. You bring it up. You bring up the autopilot, so you can always have that doubt in your mind.
Chekhov's gun.
They kind of brought up the ejection, like, oh, I never got a chance to work on it, or something. The mechanic says something like that, where he's like, they didn't have that in their airplanes because obviously the mission was to kill yourself. So, all right. What about you guys? Where did you get teary-eyed, or the hardest emotion? If you didn't shed any tears,
what's wrong with you if you didn't shed a tear?
Yeah, you're dead inside.
I'm totally dead inside. I didn't cry at this movie. There were times when I found the little girl annoying. I'm like, oh, would you shut that little kid up? I'd be like, the kid's crying again? You deserve to get abandoned. Are you kidding me?
Just leave that kid in the rubble somewhere.
I'm like, quit your yapping. We all got problems, kid. Come on.
I want rice too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, yeah. Just the end got me. I cried at the end, but that's really the key part. I cheered when the kids showed up, but those are the two just peak emotional points.
Yeah,
because there's so many lows that you just gotta rise.
I think from the moment the kid and all the ships show up, I think from that moment until like right after you see him parachuting down, I was just crying. I was like, oh God, it's so beautiful.
There's that feeling at the theater where the little lump in your throat doesn't quite go away for for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I didn't put this on the notes, but what did you guys think of the plan to take down Godzilla?
I loved it. Yeah. I loved it because I feel like often in most of the Godzilla films where Godzilla is the force of nature, right? That typically there is a kind of like MacGuffin to try and like, and I'm honestly, I'm struggling to remember how Shin Godzilla handled it. I seem to think it's a similar solution, but I do love the idea of why don't we just give Godzilla the bends? Like, let's just like send him down, bring him up really quick. It kills humans. It's definitely going to kill a ancient dinosaur. So, and then we're going to blow his head up.
What I mean, they ideally they wanted to just the first plan, I guess, was to keep him down there and get him stuck, and then like but then that part they're like, and if that doesn't work, then we'll bring him back up very quickly. Which I love. Yeah. I love the balloon test outside of the little building.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll bring him back up, and then the pressure will just like liquefy his insides or whatever, and then that doesn't work, and then. Of course, they remember like, well, he's vulnerable from the inside, so let's shove a plane with a bomb down his throat. After all this damage he's already taken, so yeah, I thought it was pretty fun as far as Godzilla plans go.
And I do have a confession, which is that I think subconsciously I had figured out that he had the parachute. Because I saw the German and I realized, oh, well, that's clearly not Japanese, like what would they have gotten? But I was so shocked. Like when the plane goes in his mouth and like it's just silent. Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck, he did it. Like there was still this moment of, I guess this has to be the way he goes, like.
The way it's shot, because everything's moving and you're just like, they've brought him down, brought him back up, and then it just hits and then it stops.
Yeah, everything stops. Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, this is our hero's journey.
Yep, exactly.
And
exactly.
It's the longest moment in the movie because you're just waiting for resolution.
Yep.
But when his mechanics is, I want you to live.
Oh, man.
Like that.
I think that may have been the other moment I burst into tears.
So, Josh, you're saying that it's kind of like anybody that spoke Urdu in the Iron Man film, they knew what they were saying in the video already, so it was not a surprise.
No, I don't know German that well at all, but I think I just put together like, well, wait, he's adding something to this plane,
Or anybody that knew that Vater means father in German, like they're like, wait a minute, Vader is the dad?
Wait a minute.
That's right. Okay. That's why you gotta learn more languages. You'll never know when it'll spoil a movie for you.
I just wish American Godzilla movies made the human story as interesting.
Yeah,
they're not even half as interesting as this film.
I think it's probably because
Broderick's journey. His girlfriend, the girlfriend, her journey.
Hank
Azaria stealing the tape. And then coming around and being like, "Oh, I shouldn't have stole that tape."
I think part of it is the scope of what the American films are doing. They're doing like a global thing, especially because obviously they want to appeal to a global audience, right? So they include, like, what? No, that's not why people make movies, right? It's hard.
Do you remember Bryan Cranston's wife dying also?
Right.
In that
Bryan Cranston was in the movie for like 15 minutes, all right?
I know, he's just in the beginning. I will say, I do like that Godzilla reboot that came out with Quicksilver and Wanda.
Their brother and sister.
Brother and sister, husband and wife. I like that one because I think the great trick that one pulls is it leads you to believe it is a Godzilla is the bad guy. And then when it makes the big switch and you realize, oh, he's the fucking hero, that's when you realize, oh, okay, I'm on board, So, yeah. Or I did, at least. I did enjoy that movie. It got panned horribly. People hated it, but I enjoyed it. So.
That was the last Godzilla I got to see in the theaters.
Let them fight.
Let them fight.
Yeah, that's a good segue into like how does this film compare to the other Godzilla? I think it's definitely better than anything American made.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is S tier. I think this is the best Godzilla ever made for me.
I think it says a lot that this may even top the original. And that's a huge bar, right? That's a very high bar. And I'm going to get slammed mercilessly on the social for saying that.
Don't be mean to Josh, kids.
I do think this is probably the best made Godzilla movie. I don't know if it's my favorite. I'm still emotionally tied to a lot of those like early Godzilla movies that more than this one.
Yeah.
But I think that's just more of a product of like I saw those when I was a kid, and those have been just with me forever. But
And
like,
there's no, I mean, he doesn't do a drop kick in this one. I get that.
no drop kick. There's
No,
no Minya. No,
there's no Gadzuki. I'm just
no God. Yeah. There's,
I like-
yeah.
I
Destroy
like
All
the-
Monsters has got to be the best one.
What do you guys think
Yeah.
of the design of Godzilla as a whole? Like, he was a chunky one in this one. Like, very.
Maybe got that.
I love thick
Yeah.
Godzilla.
I do too. Few C's.
Let's see those memes. Give me those memes.
we stand a thick king. All right.
Little chicken arms and his big old Godzilla badonkadonk.
Yeah, we did need more ass shots. I was really bummed about that. But no, don't quit that out. I loved his design of this, and I think in particular, like the way that his mouth had those like tendons on it, which I haven't seen as often, made it somehow more palpable. I don't know. It's very strange, but.
Send us your best Godzilla double-cheeked fan art. So
There's a moment where he's chasing them before they drop the mines into his mouth.
Yeah.
That his eyes, you get a really good shot of
Yeah.
just like this fierceness coming after them.
That's the stuff I want to see behind the scenes, because some of that stuff had to be like the more detailed stuff up close for Godzilla had to be done with like puppets or miniatures or like what do they call the bears that sing? What do they call
Animatronics. Yeah. I feel like I read somewhere that there was actually a fair amount of practical effects in this movie.
With only $15 million, whatever that converts to in
What?
Yeah.
I don't know how much I would pay, but I would pay money to see a Showbiz Pizza style animatronic Godzilla and Mothra and like all the other ones just playing like.
Can you imagine you get that and they just sing the Mothra theme song by the little like fairy women? You know, that'd be amazing.
You've got King Ghidorah back on drums.
Actually, he doesn't hold drumsticks. He just uses his heads.
Yeah. Rodan's on bass.
But it's like the drummer of is it Korn that has like more drums than necessary?
Oh,
he's got the full Rush set, like the full like
Yeah.
That's right. Nice. All right. Is there any last thoughts on Godzilla -1? Anything else y'all want to say? Any films the Godzilla that you recommend?
I just have a weird anecdote about this because
Here we
my
go.
background is in emergency management, and prepare cities, you run tabletop exercises against all sorts of disasters so that your city is prepared. Every city should have one. You can go to your city manager and ask for a copy. And when you run exercises, one of my instructors said, you need to catch them off guard. And if you run Godzilla against them, they don't know how to react because they're just going, oh, we're going to have a tornado or a flood or something. But
Interesting.
people have run Godzilla against cities just to see how everyone would respond and if they're really ready for something that they're not prepared for or they've never seen.
I would think Godzilla would be like tsunami plus tornado.
Is that the reason SimCity famously has kaiju in it?
Boom.
Is that why?
I mean, my instructor was a longtime emergency manager, and so like I graduated in '93. So when did SimCity come out? Like 10 years later?
No.
'90s. It was in mid '90s that they started
Yeah,
having.
I think so.
Okay, I thought it was early 2000s.
No, there was SimCity 2000 that came out in 2000, but the original game came out in '89.
Man, yeah. If you create any kind of destruction in any way, you have to see how your fire, police, paramedics can respond to it, and when you have to call in relief.
That's fascinating. Wow, I love it.
Well, I hope my emergency services roll nat 20s on the first one.
Yeah, no ones.
Wait, with our power grid, forget it.
Yeah, no shit. Although on the plus side, he can't destroy our power grid. So,
Matter of fact, he wouldn't even be attracted to this region because of the lack of power.
there you go. That's absolutely true. He's going to hit either the east or the west. He's not going to hit Texas.
Go for that nice.
Or at least he stops in Houston and he like turns to like Louisiana or something.
Get that hydroelectric dam in Nevada.
Or just all the wind turbines in the Panhandle. So,
or if Godzilla picked up Ted Cruz and just spit him out because he tastes like shit.
That probably
yeah. Where would Ted Cruz fly to during a Godzilla?
Yeah, good boy.
Well, because they would be prepared for it. All right. Well, next week we're going to be doing Pacific Rim. Don't tempt me with a good time.
Oh, I love Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. The first one's good. I never saw the second one.
Another great soundtrack.
That second one is so fucking terrible. I think I fell asleep during it.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
That says something. I mean, my God, who can create a movie with giant robots and kaiju and you fall asleep during it?
I know. It's because you needed Guillermo del Toro to stick around. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Well, if you have any more thoughts on, not you guys, but if the audience watching this later, or on the chat, if you have any more thoughts on Godzilla Minus One,
or fan art of double cheeked up Godzillas,
send that directly to
me.
Send it directly to this side of the stream. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next, before we get into all the stuff we've been watching and reading and doing all week, we got a chance to review a new book upcoming from Dark Horse. It is going to be Neil Gaiman's Anansi Boys is getting an adaptation in comic book form. This is a comic from Dark Horse coming out next week, but we got a chance to read it, so we're going to talk a little bit about it, tell you guys how we felt about it. This is, of course, story and words by Neil Gaiman because it's based on his original book. This is a script by Mark Bernardin of Batman Beyond fame and many other things. With art by Sean Martinborough and colors by Christopher Sotomayor, letters by Jim Campbell. Now, I wasn't very familiar with Martinborough's art, but I think it really works here.
It's really good. Yeah.
And of course, this beautiful cover by David Mack, because once again, David Mack just let him do all the covers.
Exactly. He's so good.
There's a lot of stuff going on here. So before we get into it, I was talking to Josh before we started, because I told him I wanted to do a little bit of research, as a comics journalist that I am.
Yeah.
So the original book was published in 2005. And I also wanted to just do a quick Google as to what Anansi. I was not familiar with the term Anansi.
Is this the book?
Yeah, there's the book. Clay has it. So Anansi is Anansi the spider is a popular figure in the folklore of parts of West Africa. Anansi is a trickster figure, clever, cunning, sometimes mischievous, who uses his wits to make up for what he lacks in size and strength. And their stories mainly talk about how he becomes eventually the owner of all stories, so the god of stories. So Loki, you got some competition there.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I looked into was what are Anansi stories, because this is a little bit of what's kind of it's how this book is kind of made up of, these folk tales. So these stories began in Ghana many years ago, and they are spread by oral tradition when Africans were brought as slaves to the Americas and the Caribbean in the early 1500s. So there's your history moment. Don't say I never read anything for you guys. So I'm gonna start with Josh. What did you think of this book?
I loved it. I was saying before the show, this is one of the few of his novels I've not read. So I kind of went into it completely cold. And I feel like so much of his stuff has been adapted for comics that began as like short stories, novels. I thought this was an absolutely great opening. I have no idea where the story goes, but just the way that this structures the opening kind of immediately grabs you and kind of brings you in and compels you to keep reading is great. I thought the little flashbacks and snippets we get of his dad are amazing. I don't want to spoil anything. I genuinely, and I think this is really hard for a comic to do because it's not dialogue. I genuinely laughed out loud when he was at the wrong funeral. Like I just the way that it was structured and paced was just so well done that when I turned the page and you think the person that he knows walking up is coming to the funeral, and she's like, "You're at the wrong funeral," and I just burst out laughing. I was like, "Oh shit, this is so bad." It was great. It was really good. The art is good. The writing, the dialogue is good. So yeah.
Before we go to Clay and Jeff, I forget to go over the synopsis, which Josh talking about it. I was like, oh, maybe I should have talked about the synopsis.
Yeah, sorry.
This book follows Fat Charlie Nancy. What a nickname.
Yeah.
Who leads a boring life as a boring Londoner until he discovers two things: that his recently deceased father was in fact Anansi the spider, the trickster god of African folklore, and that he has a twin brother that he's never met, which kicks off a reality-spanning odyssey of sibling rivalry, jealous deities, and one poor soul who realized that he's meant to be a god. So I didn't read any of that. Like I said, I also went into this cold. But let's go with Jeff. Were you familiar with any of this stuff? What did you think of the book?
Yeah, I've never read the book, so I was also off, not expecting anything, going into it blind. Really enjoyed the comic to the point where I did want to go back and read the book more than almost as much as I wanted to, because the comic hooked me so much that I was just like, I kind of want to keep reading the comic, but also I just kind of want to read the book, honestly.
Yeah, same.
So I was like, it's a weird thing to be like, oh, I really, I go read this comic, but also, I don't know, pick up the book also. Read both of them, The artwork is fantastic. It is very funny, just like Josh said.
And now that I have the context of the spider of it all, I'm going back and seeing some of these pages, and I'm like, oh, I'm a dummy. I didn't even put that together.
Same. Not just you, man. I'm actually kind of surprised that synopsis they provide, I feel like, ruins a lot of the first issue and subsequent issues. I would be like, go into it totally cold, like have no idea what you're getting into.
I can comment here before. Clay, what about you? What did you think of the book?
Yeah, I went in blind and totally enjoyed it because I didn't know which way it was going to go. But, Mark and Neil Gaiman, I mean, the names associated with it, it's going to be good. And it just has this just really great dialogue that Neil Gaiman always does of this couple, where she's trying to convince him about his dad. And he is just telling these heartbreaking stories of just what a terrible dad he was. That's the hard part for me, because I don't understand why the necessity for his dad to be there at the wedding, other than her want for it. Because as somebody who did grow up like similar to this guy with his dad, like I wouldn't invite my dad to anything. Like I wouldn't run to his funeral. I'd schedule a podcast. I would do anything but go to that. So that's the hard part for me to accept, is that this guy isn't, but maybe he's pursuing that closure.
Yeah, I think she realizes that he will eventually regret not having his dad at the wedding.
Yeah.
And so I think that's obviously as his fiance, she probably knows him a lot better. So like that's maybe something we haven't really seen in the character. But just the fact that he did get on a plane to go to his funeral does
Yeah.
say that there's still a bond there from him, that even if he wants to cast it aside for his everyday life, like it the emotional attachment is still there. I feel like, and this is slight spoilers for the first issue. It's a very brief spoiler. When he talks about the story of his mom passing, I think he's sort of grateful that he kind of gave her those extra years
Yeah.
afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Which, what a bombastic scene of the dad showing up in the hospital
Oh,
with a
God, it's
full-on marching band.
Yeah.
Um, I was just like, how did this work? That was one of the clues. I was telling Josh, because we were talking about it before you guys jumped on. I saw that there was something special about the dad. I could tell because of the art. Like Martin Bro
Yes.
actually does a really good job of like I was like, is he not aging? Because he's kind of staying the same all throughout the flashbacks. But I'm like, is that just, I think when you think back on your parents, and luckily both my parents are still with me, but like you kind of picture them as they are, right? Like I feel like when you think of people that are not around any longer, I feel like you picture them as the thing, like that version of them you remember. So I thought that was just what was happening here, and
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
that was not the case, as we found out. So yeah, I think this book is very well done. I was also very excited to like getting it's rare that I read a number one and I'm like, dang, I need the second one. Like,
Yeah.
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 The,
Same.
the ending is such a hook.
yeah.
It is.
So all right, any other thoughts from you guys on this book? If
Don't
not,
need it.
okay. I did reach out to I went on Blue Sky, because if you want to talk to comic creators, that's sometimes where you have to go. And I messaged Mark Bernard and asking him, oh crap, I just closed the link. So I'm going to put a link in the description of this video, and then also when we break it out into an individual video, about an interview that he did, because I asked him how it was adapting an existing property, which I'm guessing he's a fan of course. So yeah, you can read all about it there. So he replied with that link. So I think he would be one of the most fun people to like kind of get to talk to. So I'm gonna try to reach out to Dark Horse and see if they
Yeah.
can hook us up, because I think he'd be great. But he is a busy person. So all right. Well, make sure to pick up Anansi Boys. Let me show you some really cool covers to kind of wrap this part up. But so, and then David Mack, I can see the spider now.
Yeah.
Like I see it now. So yeah, these are great. I love these covers. So all right. Well, there you go. Make sure to pick up this book next week. Now, let's talk about other books. Oh, okay. So while Josh gets back, let's talk about some of the other stuff we've been doing and into. So, Clay, I'm gonna throw it over to you. What you got on the docket?
Did you say comics or shows?
Let's do it. Let's go with non-comics first, and then we'll
Okay.
reach comics.
I was curious if Jeff had finished Ren Fair.
Not yet. I'm still
Okay.
behind.
I won't spoil it then. I won't talk about it, but I gotta say this first two really hook you in, but where it goes is really interesting. So I'll just leave it at that.
Are there 3 episodes out now? 3 or 4?
I think there's just 3.
Just 3? Okay.
Yeah. Monkey
if
Man.
If this show doesn't end up with them going to the Olive Garden,
and I gotta say, the most interesting part of Ren Fair is the owner who is just on 15 different dating sites trying to hook up with women, and he's on like sugar daddy sites, and women fly out to see him, and he takes them to Olive Garden. And the
I've been
date
taking notes for when I put myself back into dating.
The dates are so uncomfortable because he basically just asks if their breasts are real and if they're fake, he says, well, I guess we're done here, and he leaves. Like, he's just like, he's buying a woman is basically what he's trying to do on these dates, and it's so uncomfortable and gross.
Wait, are there sugar mama dating sites? Because I'd be up for that.
I got to
full time.
I got to see Monkey Man. Who else has seen Monkey Man?
I've seen it.
Oh shit, that's so good. Like,
yeah, speaking of folklore, right?
Yeah, great folklore. It builds an incredible kind of backstory for the main character, but you're in it for the fights. And if I have one complaint, it's the shaky cam.
Oh.
There's a lot of shaky cam at times where I felt like it really could have been still, because it happens during a lot of the fights, but then there's like a moment where it's a transition between one fight to another, and it's just kind of supposed to be still, but the camera's still shaking around him. And unless that's supposed to evict some sort of emotion that this isn't over, but that's the only real complaint. I mean, I enjoyed just seeing how it evolved, how he got to where he was, and then how he fought his way out. Like, that's just so cool. I
think this film also had a surprising kind of turn that I was not ready for, about as far as the cultural aspect that I was not even aware of in this. I mean, not just this world, but like the real world. So it was a really cool exploration of that. And then the sequence with the bag of rice. I'll just say that, so don't let us spoil anything.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was like one of the best scenes I've seen in film all year. Like, just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, they place so many cool things in there for the story to have a reveal at the end, like why his hands are burned, you know, and the things that he goes through. Just how dark and tough it is to struggle in that environment. Like, just where he's coming from. That was incredible.
Let me bring Josh back in. I was getting some echo.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, good. Yeah, sorry. The first time I brought you back, there was a bunch of echo.
Okay.
Yeah. And watch Lords of Dogtown. Have you guys seen this? The film about
always meant to.
I gotta say, like,
right?
Huh?
The skater film?
Yeah.
Skater film, yeah. I gotta say, I hadn't seen this, and Heath Ledger is fucking amazing, man. Like, I mean, when is he not? But in just reading about his performance in this film, because he's the guy who runs the Zephyr shop that starts the first skate team that includes Stacy Peralta, who would eventually put the Bones Brigade together, that would have Tony Hawk in it. Like, this is early skating. This is they're starting to make, like, they're going from just wood boards to penny boards to you know, really what was established in the early 80s before just skating took off. And so you're getting to see all their I would say all their individual stories, but it really kind of focuses on three people. And it's an amazing film, but I was so caught up in how good Heath Ledger was, and the fact that he was playing a guy that was still alive, and the guy's friends were like, he does his voice and his mannerisms like him. It's just so unreal how prepared this guy was to come in and play an alcoholic who's put together one of the first skate teams, the Zephyr team.
No, I killed the bus driver. All
right. I saw a weird movie with Elliot Thomas from, or who is it? Elliot from E.T. It's Henry Thomas.
Yes.
It's called Crawl Space, and I just want to say it's Die Hard in a crawl space. Is what it is. It's a guy who's a plumber that goes to work on a job and gets caught up in crime, and he has to hide in the crawl space through the whole movie. It's not fantastic, but it's kind of a funny idea, and it plays out really well with good violence. But I'm gonna spoil a piece of it just because it kind of blew me away. Who in here has watched Schitt's Creek? Okay,
I've seen some of it.
Yeah, you know Jocelyn. She's married to Roland Shit.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She's in it, and she plays a cop, and she just came off like Jocelyn through the whole movie, and I was just like, well, this is terrible. She's not a very good actress. But then there's like a twist at the end that she's the bad guy. And when she turns evil on you, holy shit, her character just goes in such a great direction. You're like, oh, wow, she really just kind of toned it down so people didn't know who she was. And then just pivots on it. And so,
that's amazing.
It was really fun to see that because I was really kind of mad. I was like, oh, she just kind of plays this type. And then it went into an amazing direction. But we might want to go to someone else because the next few movies I'm going to talk about are really fucking dark.
Even the last one?
Oh no, Trigger Warning was fun. The Jessica Alba Netflix.
What? Okay, go for it.
It was fun.
I have thoughts on that movie. Go for it.
I mean, the whole purpose of this movie is just to watch her fight people and kill people and stab people. I mean, and it did that. Why? What were you expecting?
I have a review for the movie coming out later.
Yeah,
that movie is garbage.
Yeah, I mean but it is what it is.
At what it's trying to do, like
it is what it is, though.
Good. So, look, I grew up in the early 2000s. I love Jessica Alba, and even that.
I'm a man. I love Jessica Alba too.
Yeah. The story is garbage.
Yeah.
The movie's so bad. The fights. Sometimes I feel like she's just kind of. There's so many shots of her just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you could have done. I don't know. I didn't enjoy the movie at all.
But you knew going into this what this movie was. This was like Jessica Alba. This is her walking tall. She returns home. Criminals have taken over. Her dad has passed away, and then she discovers there's a crime involving her dad, and that maybe he was murdered. And Anthony Michael Hall gets to be the big bad.
No.
And so he's fun being a piece of shit. Like
yes.
He has this whole exchange with her about how to refer to. He goes, "Is it pronounced Latinx? Is that how I say it?" And this kind of uncomfortable cultural exchange between the two.
He's so good at playing a dick. I mean,
but it is what it is. I mean, it's like if I went to go see fucking Sharknado 6, I know what I'm going to go see. And I want to see sharks kill people. And in this movie, Jessica Alba kills people. I got what I wanted.
I just
It's
didn't
like revisit Archangel.
Yeah, the fight. It's just even the fighting was just not. It didn't look good at all.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, no, I didn't enjoy it. So, but yeah, stay tuned. I'll drop the review later on.
Yeah, because I just wanted to see her just kill people, and she liked to kill people with knives and a machete, and I was just like, well, this should be fun.
Is this like a Netflix movie or something?
Yeah,
it's that bar of Netflix where it's like, well, we kind of had this Mad Lib of a story, and we'll just write in Jessica Alba as
it is definitely Algo Prime, like just this algorithm spit that out.
Yeah, Netflix might be the new asylum of like movie like makers. But here's the thing: Asylum. I might prefer Asylum movies because they're wacky and bad, but they feel like they're just poorly made movies by humans still.
Yeah,
and all the Netflix movies feel like they're AI generated or just like they're filling the gap. You know,
you've seen it before, but have you seen it with Jessica Alba? That's exactly what it is.
Hey, I think the most criminal example of that was someone typing into AI Star Wars, but by Zack Snyder. I'm totally just trolling Danny right now.
I have my issues with Rebel Moon, but they're gonna be fixed this summer when we get to see the Snyder cut of them.
Is it gonna be Snyder again?
Let me tell you something. I'm so upset that Zack Snyder did not allow Zack Snyder to make the film that Zack Snyder wanted to make the first film. I'm glad that Zack Snyder is allowing Zack Snyder to make the Zack Snyder film that Zack Snyder wanted to make to begin with.
That's true. Zack Snyder stepped in and stopped Zack Snyder from making Zack Snyder.
Listen,
if someone would just give him another $90 million, he could make his cut.
He could.
I mean, that's like 10 Godzilla films. Their budget. I mean, looking at that budget, and he needed $90 million. Wow.
That was my only kind of like thing that I really wanted to do at the convention last week, whenever it was, because Sofia Boutella was gonna be there,
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I've only met one person from a Zack Snyder movie in all these conventions, and it was Carol Ferris, the soldier from Men of Steel, and I got to see her at the convention. So I need to meet more collaborators with Zack Snyder because I don't think I'll ever get a chance to meet him. But all right, let me jump on here, and because I was also going to talk about trigger warning, but I don't have to now. Yeah, I'll drop a full.
I'm just surprised you went in for what, like an Academy Award winning film.
No, I went in just to see what Jessica Alba was going to do because she hasn't made a movie in a long time, and then I remember why she doesn't make movies anymore.
Yeah, but they also didn't just like put her in a bikini and have her go swimming in the water, like,
That's true.
Out of the blue.
Danny's like, I only prefer when she's the Invisible Woman, and that's for a reason.
Wow.
I prefer when she's co-starring along with Dane Cook. No, just kidding. No, nobody's ever said that sentence.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I've never heard those words in that order strung together.
All right.
I forgot Dane Cook was a person altogether until just now.
So Sunday I watched the premiere of House of the Dragon season 2. Oh my god, what a show! What a show! I love it. I love that universe so much.
You know what that show makes me think is that HBO had 800 white wigs laying around. They're like, we gotta do something
for everyone.
Yeah,
everyone, no matter black, white, whatever nationality you're from, you get.
Yeah, listen, you get a white wig.
As I also love watching old movies that are adapted from books that are adapted into TV shows. So I'm watching Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal. It is exactly whatever the Harrison Ford movie was. It's just that.
Did he get a new agent or something who's just obsessed with him stepping into roles from the 80s and 90s?
Oh, because of Roadhouse.
Yeah, because of Roadhouse.
Maybe. I mean, he is. Yeah, he's kind of. Maybe they're trying to make him that actor.
Man.
I've never seen the Harrison Ford movie. I will check it out after the show's over, just to see what the.
It's good. It's good.
To see how they stretched it out
over
into
the top.
8 episodes. But it's pretty. The show's pretty interesting. It's the premise is Jake Gyllenhaal is a DA that gets framed for killing one of his coworkers. So.
Have you seen the original, the Harrison Ford?
No. I'm gonna watch it after the series is done.
And then read the book.
I feel like I'm not reading the book, but I think the movie will tell me everything I need to know.
What other 80s movies will Jake Gyllenhaal be rebooting?
I don't
Maximum
know if it's
Overdrive.
I would watch that.
I
would watch that in a heartbeat.
Okay, here's the thing. He can only remake things that starred either Harrison Ford or Patrick Swayze. That's it. So I'm talking
Dirty from New York.
Escape from New York.
No.
Sorry.
Wait, does he have to play those roles, or can they just be movies that they were in? Like,
no, I think he has to play those roles. So I'm thinking like Air Force One would be good.
He could be. I mean, there's already Jack. I know John Krasinski's Jack Ryan right now, but like. He could do Jack Ryan.
Is he tall enough, though? I mean, that's always the thing about Jack Ryan. He's supposed to be tall, right?
I think you're thinking of Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher's like 6'.
Jack Reacher is now cast by.
They all blur together in my head.
Can we get a Jack Reacher multiverse where Tom Cruise and the other guy meet and they Jack Reacher together?
That'd be
in that multiverse. I'd like to see like 5 Tom Cruises come together to form one Jack Reacher.
You know,
he's like
I want to see 5 Tom Cruises come together to form like a giant robot Tom Cruise.
I want to see 5 Tom Cruises come together to make a normal sized human.
We're gonna get shut down here by that organization he's affiliated with.
Is there a church?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Jack Ryan, who was also played by Chris Pine, I rewatched Unstoppable, the movie about the train that has to be stopped.
You can't make fun of me now for my Jessica Alba.
Yeah, I can. Excuse me, Unstoppable is a Denzel masterpiece, all right?
Yeah,
No. The best review I've ever heard was spoiler alert. It is.
Yeah, yeah. I also recommend you go check out Inside Out 2. I won't talk too much about it, but that movie, whoever picked it on the draft, I think we determined it was Josh, making buku bucks. And the movie's really good and made me cry as well.
Did you cry more during Godzilla or Inside Out 2?
With Inside Out 2, I had that thing where I have the knot in my throat for like 30 minutes. Whereas in Godzilla, I cried a little bit, it stopped, and then I cried again. So I don't know what's worse. I think Inside Out 2 is worse because you're like,
You're always constantly on the
verge.
verge.
You're constantly on the verge of crying. I can't wait for Inside Out 10 when like Riley is like my age now.
It's just all anger.
It's like anger, anxiety, loneliness, like just every feeling that.
Riley goes through COVID and Inside Out 3.
Yeah, right. Oh, poor Riley. Riley's gonna have to graduate from a computer.
The whole movie's just a Zoom class.
They introduced an emotion called NU, which is like a French word for like kind of not caring. I don't know. Ennui. Thank you. Ennui. Sorry. As we know, I'm not the. Well, I mean, I speak other languages, just not French.
Yeah, no, totally.
Hey, I failed French and Spanish, so I'm here to give you bad interpretations.
But the best thing I watched I guess House of the Dragon was pretty good. The Bike Riders. Oh my god.
That's good. I'm so glad to hear that, actually.
I love it.
Hold on. Turn down the Tom Hardy fanboy and tell us how you really feel.
This isn't even that. Jodie Comer eats up this film. Like, she is the star of this film.
Nice.
Crazy. It is crazy. Look,
what is this film about? It just looks like Easy Rider meets what's that?
I think at some point a photographer interviewed, like he just kind of hung around with a bike club in the 60s and 70s and then wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
It's inspired by that book.
Oh, okay.
And everything you're getting is kind of from Jodie Comer's character's point of view. So like she is the anchor of that film. And it's really good. And yeah, Tom Hardy's in it and he's fantastic. Norman Reedus shows up in one of the most fun roles that I've ever seen him in. Austin Butler is just very pretty to look at. So like, that's never a bad thing. So yeah, it's a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. And the only other thing I've seen by this director is Midnight Special with General Zod.
Michael Shannon.
Oh, Michael Shannon's in it too. That's right.
Yeah, Midnight Special is really good.
And if you've seen Matthew McConaughey in Mud, he also directed that film.
Oh,
so, yeah. If you like those two films, I think you'll enjoy Bike Riders as well.
Okay. See, I downgraded this because of Austin Butler. I really am just not.
What? I think he's a great actor. I haven't seen Elvis. That's the only one that people kind of give him shit for. But he's great in Dune too.
Yeah, I give no shits about Elvis.
So, are you on the Austin Butler for Gambit train?
Hey, the man can do accents. He's proven that.
Now, as long as he has the same storyline he does in X-Men '97.
Yeah.
Granted, he may get stuck speaking Cajun like for months after filming. Because that's what happened to him after Elvis. So, but yeah, that's and then we talked a little bit. I didn't enjoy the Bratz documentary as much as Clay.
I do want to get into this for a second. I will offer an apology for anyone that took my recommendation to watch Bratz after I recommended it last week because it was more of a nostalgia fest for me. Yeah. But on a level of him being whiny about it, that's the main complaint that I read from a lot of people. Even Shelby said she didn't really enjoy it because she felt like he was just kind of dealing with something. I like that better than him going, well, where are they now kind of documentary. That'd be just kind of bullshit. I'd rather kind of know that he went through something and that maybe some others did. Even Emilio talks about it, but everyone kind of had their own take on it. So it was better than like, hey, you guys remember Demi Moore from such movies as St. Elmo's Fire and, and G.I. Jane? What's she up to now? Like, I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. I'd rather hear them talk about the work they've done and where it led them and how they dealt with the things, because these were people who played Gen Xers to Gen X audiences. And that's what it worked for me.
I did like the interaction, all the conversations with everyone. I thought those were good. I was not a fan of the framing device of this, which was pretty much Andrew McCarthy skipped therapy and then made this movie instead.
Someone saved money on that? That's interesting.
I mean, Hulu paid for it, so I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, but you're not alone. I read a review, and I still need to watch it, but I read a review that basically had all the same complaints you had, Danny. That was just like, this was like one person actually said, I wanted more nostalgia from it. Almost like what you got out of it, Clay, this reviewer wanted more of. So
I think the other thing is I've never seen St. Elmo's Fire, and I think that's probably like the movie they were kind of all. I know. I'm just gonna wait to watch whatever reboot they're doing about it.
No. See, St. Elmo's Fire is rich white kid problems, and that's all it is. So you're watching it, and you're just like, yeah, but you got money. Like they're all like leaving college, and it's like, oh, we're growing up and shit, and it's like, yeah, but look how you dress. I mean, everyone in this fucking movie is rich, and you're
the St. Elmo's Fire reboot with Austin Butler and Timothy Chalamet.
That's right.
Well, so skip St. Elmo's Fire and go watch Less Than Zero, which is the same plot but with real stakes.
Yeah, that's where you see Robert Downey Jr.
I'm just gonna rewatch The Breakfast Club, which I love that movie. So I'm just
that movie's so good. Yeah. Did you guys see there was a I totally stumbled on a video, and it was like The Breakfast Club but with actual librarians working, and it's just clips of them hanging out in the library. Like my favorite is there's just two librarians they keep cutting to, and one is when Ali Sheedy, they're all dancing, and she's on the ground, she's putting her face on the ground, and one woman's like, no, I wouldn't put your face, no, I totally, I would, oh, she's doing it, and like just lays down. It's great.
All right. Let's throw it over to Jeff because I'm very interested in this first thing he put on the list.
I am too. I can't wait to hear about this.
Oh my!
Oh, I watched Madam Web finally.
I'll say this: not as bad as Trigger Warning.
Dakota Johnson is a national treasure.
Fuck!
Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
That's okay. It's fun to watch Clay's head explode.
Yeah. he's been dismissed.
You gotta go.
He's done.
I thought it was time for you to step away, Clay. That's why I thought you were leaving.
Oh shit! It is. I wanted to hear this. Y'all have your.
No wrestling. Let's Madam Web.
Yeah, Madam Web is. It is. Do I wish I would have seen it in the movie theaters? No. I'm glad I watched it. Yes. The ADR is just as ridiculous as everybody says it is, and I love it. Like the guy, like the whole, like for a day and a half, I would walk around and talk like this. Like he kind of sounded like Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory, like grown up. Like that's how I imagine Dexter's grown-up voice being, because that's how he talked.
Yeah.
The fact that they made a superhero movie without any superheroes, and with like Dakota Johnson deadpanning every single line that she had, just being annoyed with these three girls. And I imagine that's how it was in real life, like during the shooting, like because they've said like Sydney Sweeney would talk about how they had a group text chat going, and she would plan like outings during the filming, and Dakota would never respond to any of the group. Like they would only like see her on set to film. And I just imagine that was their real life interactions as well, where she was just like, Dakota Johnson was just like, I don't want to be here really. Like, I'm just here for whatever. Like,
yeah. I'm here to work and go to the Amazon.
I'm here to work. I'm here to plug some Pepsi. And Pepsi was the third star of that movie. I still don't want to drink Pepsi, but I'm glad it was all over that movie.
I would say Britney Spears' Toxic is the third star of that movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true too. Yeah, they're like, yeah, in my head, it's Dakota Johnson, probably Britney Spears, then Pepsi.
And then
No,
everybody.
it goes Dakota Johnson, the bad ADR, Britney Spears, Pepsi.
The whole trifecta of things, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Does she struggle to open Pepsi cans as often in that movie as I'm led to believe?
Yeah, at least way more than I've struggled to open a Pepsi can. So
They also, it is 2003, and for some reason it was a lot more bottles of Pepsi. So
yeah.
I don't know if
You're buying these bottles.
that's not a true experience to my own living, but I don't know if San Francisco was different or not San Francisco.
So coming off this
Brooklyn.
movie, I did watch like the first half of what's the Am I Okay movie, also with
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson.
Mm.
And I haven't finished it yet. It was also entertaining, but I will see anything with Dakota Johnson in it because she
too.
deadpans her way
I
through
love her.
everything, and I'm just like, I love her. I also watched. What else did I write down here? I caught up on the Acolyte. Yeah. Here's my thing on the Acolyte. I am sad that there's such a discourse online about how awful the show is because it's not. And the reason I feel bad about that is because it is not a good. I don't like it. That's not for me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's not bad because there are girls in it, and it's not bad because it's just a very basic story,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of bored, honestly. And I'm just
This
like,
last episode was like 24 minutes, and I was very upset. There are like real things you could criticize the show about. Specifically for me, the last episode, there are real things, but like
the show has actual issues that are not being
But
addressed.
you'll never hear about them because they're all getting drowned out by the the people yelling on the other side. So
yeah, so it bugs me like that. I feel bad because then the show will never get its proper, come up. I guess.
We need to have thoughtful discourse, and if
exactly,
we have this very loud minority just constantly banging an idiotic drum, then it's hard to do that, So
right.
And it must be two other things. It must be difficult to be a toxic fan, because you do live in this bubble where you're only like kind of shouting to like the people. Everybody on the outside of that bubble is like you're toxic.
Yeah.
And for them to keep, because they've also like turned on The Boys this week because they found out that The Boys was
Because they finally understood the plot of The
They
Boys.
finally understood the subplot of The Boys.
Wait a minute.
Are we the baddies?
Yeah, exactly. They had one of those moments. And it must be weird to be like going through your life like a fan of all this stuff and then having to be like, well, Marvel's too woke for me now. Well, Star Wars is too woke for me now. Well, The Boys is too woke. Like all the little things that you proclaim to love have but your ideology has deemed that you can't love it. Like you are whittling yourself down to like, I don't know, Cyber Frog, and that's all you can go.
Every time all that stuff comes up, I'm reminded of the Simpsons clip of like liberal outrage, and then like the dude just goes out spewing stuff like, all right,
yeah.
Actually, make sure to finish. Am I okay? I really enjoyed that film. Like it's not the best film, but I think it's really entertaining. It's what I like to call millennial core. I think so.
Her anxiety in that movie gave me anxiety as I was watching it. So I was like, I have to. That's why I kind of ducked out halfway through because I was like, I need to watch this in chunks because
why?
It's
the poster is just her crying, so I don't know what the appeal of it is, unless it's just her reacting to how Madam Web did in theaters.
That's what it is. It's
an hour and a half of her just denying that she enjoyed the work, and
it's commentary. It's the after commentary track.
You're giving it too much credit. It's 90 minutes of her trying to open a Pepsi can. So
I can't wait for a Madam Web
after the
episode.
first 20 minutes, that's when the frustration starts.
Exactly. I just need my sugar water.
After Craven comes out and it's on streaming, we're gonna do a triple feature of Venom: The Last Dance, Madam Web, and Craven.
Do I have to watch the first two Venom movies though? Okay, because I will do that, even though I still haven't watched either Aquaman. But I will do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
you're not missing anything in Aquaman.
I did see one other thing because on YouTube somebody posted a bunch of stuff revolving around the 1989 release of Batman, and some of the stuff was like these old interviews with fans who were complaining about Michael Keaton being Batman.
Yep, I remember that. The write-in campaign.
Just like, there's a write-in campaign. Yeah. The local news coverage would be, and there were people out there who were just like, I just don't see it. You know, if I'm wrong, I'll admit to it. And of course, they never follow up with these.
Did they follow up with these guys? Yeah, that's what,
yeah. But it does. It is weird to see toxic online discourse today versus like back then, when you're like, okay, well, now that we've got 35 years between then and now, we can all. Those of us that were around are like, no, we love Michael Keaton as Batman. Like,
I think it was always there. We just never heard about it.
Well, here. Oh, sorry, Clay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the one I remember the most was the outrage at the Joker's makeup for the Dark Knight, because that seems like there were more people who were just like, this isn't the Joker, and lost their shit, and now that's like seen as the iconic portrayal of the Joker.
Yeah, just the choice of Heath Ledger too. Yeah.
Well, so and if memory serves, Clay and Jeff check me here, but if memory serves, a lot of the initial outrage about Keaton's casting was no fan wanted the Batman 66 again. And we were worried he was mainly known as a comedic actor. So we were worried it was, yeah, exactly. It was going to be, you know, the Bat Tootsie and shit again. And we just didn't know that it was going to be this amazing dark take on it. So
Keaton's big roles at the time were Mr. Mom
Yep.
and Night Shift, where he was an unknown in Night Shift, and it was starring Henry Winkler.
And
what was the other one?
Let's not forget the movie we've all forgotten because it's very anti-Japanese.
Gung Ho.
Gung Ho, thank you. I couldn't remember the name of it. So
yeah. I mean, he did a lot of comedies that were huge hits, so nobody saw him, especially just because of his size too. Like he's not
a tall guy.
Because at the time, I mean, you go to 86, we were looking at The Dark Knight Returns, that big giant old man Bruce Wayne, and now we're getting a comedian. That was the thought process. Was like, well, he's an actor, but he only does comedies. He can't do drama.
Right. It's certainly not.
There's a clip where they're interviewing Tim Burton, and he's like, and Tim Burton is like, yeah, of course we're looking at other actors. He's like, but because he had just come off of Beetlejuice with Keaton, and he was like, but Michael Keaton's the only one I can see wearing a bat suit, and making it believable. And then when Burton says that, I'm just like, oh, that makes sense. Like
that makes sense.
Then you see him and I'm like, yeah, of course. You couldn't see, Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't wear a Batman suit, like, Michael Keaton.
That's what fans wanted. Yeah. Because again, this was, there you go.
Yeah.
This was the 80s. So if you were going to be an action star, you had to be a Stallone, a Schwarzenegger, a kind of roided out, not the like roids.
Allegedly. Hold on a second. Let's not get
Someone get our lawyer on the phone. But yeah, anyway.
I think you can legally say Hogan. Hogan.
Okay. Yeah, true.
Our lawyer is that guy from The Simpsons, so let's not get him involved. It's all we can afford.
I thought we could afford Barry Zuckercorn.
No.
Blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah.
All right. Was that the other?
Yeah, that's all I watched. Okay. I did more reading.
Welcome back for comics. Josh, did you have anything that's not comics? If not, we can segue into comics with you, and then we'll come back. Okay. You got a few other things. We'll
sure.
With those. But let's do
okay. No, so I'll start comics. I was behind by 2 or 3 weeks, so I have still some stuff I haven't read yet. I know you guys have talked about. So Space Ghost 2, which I was kibitzing with Danny beforehand. They had this big preview of Johnny Quest #1 inside. There's no preview in here. I don't know what they're talking about.
The old bait and switch.
Dick Tracy #2, which I'm excited to read because it's ultra violent. I'm continuing to read Under Heist. This is issue 4.
Oh, nice.
Dave Lapham and I think it's his wife, are writing this, and it's amazing. This is just stuff I haven't read. Moral Terror #4. This is going to kind of be the make or break issue for me.
Is that the one where the vampires are backwards or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the one where the humans are the baddies. Yeah. I know you guys talked about this last week, but I'm excited to read the official follow-up to Gotham by Gaslight, Kryptonian Age.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. Here, let me see.
And then two that came out this week that I need to read. Helen of Windhorn, number 3. I'm excited to get into.
I love that book so much. It's so good.
I'm excited. I picked up this one. I think if I looked at the cover more and realized the character is actually based on the writer, I probably wouldn't have. But it's called The Writer. it's Josh Gad. So yeah. So the idea is a comic book writer discovers that his actual writings are coming to life, and he kind of gets sucked into it. So I don't know. I'll give that a try.
Didn't R.L. Stein already do that?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a conceit that happens.
Was it Goosebumps, right? That's the whole premise of the film, I think.
I think so, yeah. But here's the ones I read. I picked up, kind of on a lark, I picked up Giant Size Daredevil.
Okay.
Now, I didn't get a chance to talk about it here. Did anyone else pick up the Giant Size X-Men that came out a few weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay. I picked that up almost exclusively because Ann Nesenti wrote it.
Yes.
And I wanted to see her do it. I did not like it. I did not care at all for that Giant Size X-Men, which I feel really bad about, but it was, yeah. I've never cared for Angel as a character, so I'm like, but this was great. And my only complaint about this is this is a story that very heavily features the Kingpin, and it's kind of all about the Kingpin and Daredevil's relationship. It is unbelievably violent. There is, I don't want to spoil anything or show it to you, but there is a scene in here where the Kingpin tracks down some, I guess, thieves, henchmen that sort of double-crossed him. I was like, holy shit, I'm shocked. Like, it's that violent. It's really good. My only bitch, and this is just a me thing, is that it continues in Daredevil number 10, and I really don't want to go pick up Daredevil number 10. I just wanted a one-and-done story. But they do add in the back of it the very famous, a reprint of the very famous Daredevil 170, which has one of the best sequences ever, which he's fighting Bullseye. And
David Mazzucchelli art?
No, it's actually Frank Miller with inks by Klaus Janson.
Okay.
But it has this famous sequence where Bullseye kicks him out a window and he's falling. And just this shot of Bullseye shooting his rope, and he's just falling through the air, and he grabs his flag and the flag breaks. I mean, it's amazing. So well worth the oh good God, $7 I paid for this. Yeah.
Damn.
Should I just go through all mine, Danny? Or?
Yeah, just keep on. We'll
Deadpool number 3. Why is it weird? I'm just kind of meh on this book. I couldn't. Okay, it's not just me. All right, I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. I don't know if maybe just Deadpool is Deadpool, and I feel like they've told all the stories they can tell with Deadpool, but I'm really not into this.
I really like the previous series, so I don't know. I thought this one, and I like Cody Ziegler. Like, I like what he's doing with Miles.
Yeah,
Deadpool just not hitting for me.
Yeah, I don't know. This was actually not the cover I meant to get, but it's what my shop pulled for me. But Fantastic Four, number 21. Man, so, all right. I'm the idiot that I'm most of the way through this issue before I realize, oh, this is the fucking tie-in to the big event right now. I had no idea because I'm not reading that. But I posted on my socials and also sent to you guys. I was really flabbergasted because the conceit of this right at the beginning is Alicia and Reed go to New York because she wants to go see an exhibit, which this is a real thing in the art world, where they've recreated famous works of art that are touchable. So for visually impaired people, they can like touch the work of art and kind of see it. And so they go to that, and there's this great setup where it's basically about how Reed doesn't really get art. He doesn't have an emotional reaction to it, and Alicia, of course, does. And I was flabbergasted because they name check the Nasher Prize. Here in Dallas, we have the Nasher Sculpture Center. Canonically, Alicia has won the Nasher Prize. I just want to point this out. But what starts off is, I think, a really interesting exploration of art, then turns into the this has to tie into the big event book. So suddenly they walk out of the museum and there's vampires everywhere. And I don't want to spoil anything, but the way that Alicia and Reed figure out how to protect people is really interesting. So check it out. And it's actually part 1 of 2. So I guess next month's issue will wrap this up.
Gotcha.
Am I the only one reading In the Shadow, the Green Goblin?
I think so.
Okay, it's great. You guys are missing out. It's really good. J.M.
DeMatteis?
DeMatteis, yeah, thank you. And just Michael St. Maria, his art in this is fucking fabulous. It's so good. I mean, he's always been a good artist, but it's just a great book, and it spends a lot of time exploring. You know, you come for the history of the Green Goblin, right? Because this whole story takes place in like the weeks after Uncle Ben's death. So like one of the subplots is the fact that
Peter can't pay the funeral costs.
Well, that too. That Aunt May and Peter have yet to talk about Ben's death, and there's a lot of tension between them. And I just love just the character exploration here. So anyway, really good, really, really good. I did do these in order. Okay. Transformers number 9. Can I just point out this cover that, to my mind, calls back the classic Shockwave original Marvel cover of him with like behind him on the wall there's graffiti, right? Like that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this. So this fucking book is so good. It's so good. That's all I can say about it. Just if you're not reading Transformers, for God's sakes, go fucking read Transformers. It's amazing.
Yep.
And I think I even proposed we should do an Energon universe.
Yeah. I think once Scarlet and Destro wrap up, maybe they'll do something to. Yeah, we'll definitely schedule an Energon universe update. Okay. We catch up on Void Rivals anyway, so.
Well, and speaking of Destro number 1, which I'll be honest, so far is my least favorite of at least the
books as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never cared for Destro as a character, so, and I feel like. In the kind of the brilliant way they reinvented Cobra Commander, they're not doing that here. He's just Destro. And so I'm like, you know. But still, I mean, fun. But my last 2. These are the ones I was raving about this last night. Peter Bagg has brought back Hate. If you never read Hate in the 90s, I highly recommend it. It is one of the quintessential Gen X books. Yes, and I say that because it is about being Gen X. The main character, Buddy, is just the quintessential slacker. And the thing I love about this is it takes place in the current day. Well, no, I take that back. So it's a bunch of short stories. 2 of the stories are flashbacks. So one is him with, it's actually the origin of how he met his now partner, Lisa, which I don't think he ever explained before. So you get this amazing story. It's the first one about how he met Lisa. There is another flashback of him going to IKEA with another woman he famously dated, who was Valerie. Oh, yeah. But what's great is you get these current day stories where they travel back to Seattle, where now, I forget his name, George has been with Valerie for all these years, and Buddy and Lisa go back to hang out with them. What I love about this book is it's very clear Bagg is playing with what is it like being Gen X in 2024, right? Because no less than 4 or 5 times in this book does Lisa ask Buddy, did you vote for Trump? Like again and again and again, because that is kind of the pernicious legacy of Gen X is if you hate everything, which Buddy does.
How do you vote for something?
Who are you going to vote for, right? Are you going to vote for the establishment, which Gen X is always famously against, or are you going to vote for the anti-establishment, right? It's great. It's such a good book. Anyway, so I hope there's more to come. It says issue 1. It ends in a way that could be a one and done. I mean, it could just be a one shot, but who knows? So I was over the moon when I saw that on the pull list. But shockingly, my pick for the week, it is not Hate Revisited. It would have been until I read this. Did anyone else read Uncle Scrooge?
I missed it.
Okay. Here's the thing. I literally just picked this up because I love me some Uncle Scrooge, Carl Barks books, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing I did not realize about this. It's written by Jason Aaron.
Oh.
And there is this beautiful introduction by Jason Aaron where he talks about why he loves Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge. And he was late to this. He didn't start reading any of them until he had a kid. And he read Uncle Scrooge comics to his son and fell in love with them. And what I find interesting is he fell in love with the Don Rosa stuff, not the Carl Barks stuff. So what this book does, and they reprint it at the back of it, is it takes the very famous Carl Barks story, Christmas on Bear Mountain, and it takes that as its jumping off point. And so the idea is basically, unlike in that story where Donald and the nephew struggle to get to Bear Mountain to spend Christmas with Scrooge, this goes into an alternate universe of what happened if they never made it. And what I love about this is it takes the core original idea way back from Dickens about the fact that Scrooge becomes so miserly and hateful. And it takes that, you have an alternate reality version of Scrooge where all he decides to do is he has no family. He never bonds with Donald or the nephews. And so instead, he just becomes obsessed with stealing all the lucky dimes from every alternate universe Scrooge. And hence the infinity dime. And then at the end of it, again, I won't spoil anything, but one of the Scrooges rallies back. And what I love about this is Aaron is really playing with some shit about the fact that Marvel and Disney are all one property now, because this absolutely riffs off of the Infinity Gauntlet, and it riffs off of, there is, and this made me laugh my ass off, a Council of Gyro Gear Looses, which is perfect, right? Not a council of reeds, a council of gyros. So anyway, it's wonderful.
It looks like it's a one shot, so
it is. Yeah, it's a one and done. You can buy it, you can read it, you get a full story. The art is amazing. And I should call out the artist. The artist is oh wait, this says what? This says multiple artists, and I would not have known that reading it. I thought it was all one artist. So chapter 1 is Paolo Matura. Chapter 2 is Francesco Dippolito and Lucio De Giuseppe. Sorry, I'm butchering all these names. Chapter 3 is Alessandro Pastrovicchio and Vitale Mengiatorti. It's amazing. It's really good. Really, really, it was $8. Totally worth it. So
you got a really cool cover too. I'm looking at.
I love this. Yeah, this was the cover. I was like, I am absolutely getting this one, because that's the weird thing about the current Disney stuff. I swear to God, they put out 3 times more alternate covers than any other series, right? Even Marvel and DC stuff. It's like there's 20 covers to pick from, but I got this.
Except Dynamite. Dynamite puts out the most covers for Capital.
I think Marvel does more, honestly. I hate to say it, but I think so. Anyway, those were my comics for the week.
Nice. All right, let's keep going on comics. You got any comics, Clay?
Yeah, Uncanny Valley 3. This was a like quick read because this is more of a chase episode or issue where we're still following um, cartoons and humans interacting in a world where we discover that they're part of our world and they can do cool tricks like they do in the comics, but only at certain times. So they actually use an escape path by painting a tunnel into a rock so that they can go through it, you know,
Classic.
like Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. This issue made me think that this would be a better trade read because you're going through it so fast of what's happening. They introduce a lot of characters who are for the good side and who are for the bad side. So you get to see kind of this mix of cartoons that we've seen before, but not quite the same IP. So and even classic cartoons are drawn in black and white in this. So I kind of love the style of this, and Tony Flex is always doing like really good stuff.
I like Tony Flex's work, but I do prefer it in trade. That's why I'm also waiting for Farrell.
Yeah, Farrell's the same way, like, but he does great kind of like thrilling moments that kind of set the pacing in that.
Nice.
Have any of you guys ever read Alita?
I've only watched the film.
This makes me want to watch the film because I'm like, how did they adapt this? This has so much wild stuff going on.
I like the film a lot. So
really?
Robert Rodriguez is really good. So.
Yeah. I mean, the history of it, I know that Cameron had been wanting to make this for years, and I know he's a producer and Rodriguez got to direct, but just the violence of it is just wow. I mean, on page, it is amazing stuff. But the story of a robot that's kind of brought back and in a future where robot parts are just thrown away the way, cars are disposed of. So people will go look for parts to rebuild things and find this robot. Her body gets destroyed. And so she's put into like a battle suit, essentially, is what her body becomes, and it changes who she is. But it also gives the question of when creating these things that are sentient, because at what point are they on their own? Are they your property? It just got a lot of interesting questions like that. But it's the action that you're really there for.
There's more, I think, right? Because it's a pretty long manga.
Yeah. This is the first volume, so this is all collected, and
a whole lot of exploration of the upper class. I'll just say that.
Exactly, because it's scavengers who are putting this together at first, and I mean, essentially, he's a scavenger. But then there's also like this murder that's happening outside in the neighborhood that they're trying to solve too. That kind of ties into who the big bad is in it. All I was able to do was buy comics this past week, and Marvel just they did me in. All the Scotty Young covers that
because they're doing biggest Marvel's biggest thing or whatever. Yeah,
my Aaron goes, you're not obligated, but that Scrooge McDuck book was in there because Scotty Young did a cover for that. But it was like such a stack of books that I couldn't afford to buy them all, so I probably bought like maybe a fourth of
the Doctor Strange one was cool.
I got that one. I bought the first Red Band
Blood Hunt
because I've got the first two, and I'm digging the miniseries. I don't know about y'all, but then I was able to, Miles. I basically got the ones that I knew that had the tie-ins to Blood Hunt. I mean, $10 for the X-Men book. So the Scarlet Witch and Jubilee, who is not on the cover, and Jean, who's not in the book.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. The last book that I read, because my friend Sabrina insisted that I read this, Supreme by Alan Moore. Yeah, by Alan Moore, drawn some by Rob Liefeld, because she insists this is the best Rob Liefeld book. And it is, because it's done. His art is done sparingly, but surprisingly, looking back at his art on this book, this is probably the best book he's ever drawn. because it just has more to it than, I mean, even like the newer stuff, you'll see like his kind of, I don't want to say laziness, but there's just more to this than there is in some of the other things. I mean, this is Alan Moore writing Superman with really no filter, no DC editorial. It's him taking a Liefeld character that's obviously derivative of Superman, playing with that history and playing with all the worlds and the coolness that are a part of what Superman is, and doing it in the different styles. I mean, you'll see the art style shift from like Kurt Swan to Tales from the Crypt is even represented in this book. It is a cool history of comics told through a Superman type character, and given such a mind twist of like, you know, he's not even sure because he's discovering this multiverse as we are. So he's asking these interesting questions while the story's going on. It is really great. The other thing I discovered, this is such a rare book because it's never been reprinted. This is like, Shelby said she was looking it up. This is going for like $200, the collected graphic novel, because it's never been reprinted.
Dang.
Yeah. And I forget who it was because I looked at this while this came out. This went under 3 different publishers. Awesome, Image, and then another one that Liefeld put together. There was like 3 different publishers on this book, but Supreme is the best problem. Liefeld.
All right.
On the comics.
Let me drop Josh real quick and bring him back. Hello.
Any echo?
Hey,
Hello.
again?
The first time, I don't know. For some reason, the first time I bring you back, I think it's because you haven't talked, so it doesn't know what to mute yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right, Jeff, you want to go through your comics, and then that covers some of my stuff, and then whatever doesn't cover there, then I'll just talk about afterwards.
Yeah, totally. To follow up, that Supreme run is fantastic. It is Alan Moore playing around with 1950s Superman, like those zany stories that are like the old Kurt Swan and what's his name?
I think the legacy of Supreme is that it's probably the best Liefeld character, that the best iterations of it are written by other people.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. And that's the other good thing about it, because prior to that, Supreme was just angry Superman, generic and like nobody cared. But then this came around and completely transformed Supreme into a character that was a character you cared about. Yeah. Anyway, so this week I read Titans number 12. Now, is Tom Taylor leaving this? Because I know he's wrapping up on Nightwing.
I don't know if he's leaving that book as well. I don't think so.
I hope not. This is
because
a great book.
Kind of the Justice League book, so I don't think they want to change writers yet.
I'm a little because I know that. I don't know if Chip Zdarsky's leaving Batman.
He's not.
Because is he not? Okay. It feels like we're wrapping up a whole bunch of stuff and about to shift to a new the new thing.
The Dawn of DC is kind of done. It feels like
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned because I love what everybody's doing right now.
Same.
Anyway, this is a great issue by Tom Taylor. We're really pushing forward with the Dark Raven, I guess, storyline is what I'm going to call it. I know you have Nightwing up on your thing as well.
Same cover, twinsies.
Dual Nightwings. Dick is in for it, man. Dick is in for it.
He sure is. Man, that last page, holy shit.
Here we go. We can talk about Wonder Woman. You got a cool cover.
I got the Pride variant by Phil Jimenez.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna knock
artwork in here.
Cover.
Absolutely, Daniel Samprairie artwork is fantastic.
Oh, he's so good.
I want Tom King to write.
Wow.
For this whole series, I've been like, please, Tom King, give us a Trinity, John Kent, Damian Wayne series. Now I want him to write the Wonder Girls, because then there's this whole bit where they're trying to get into Diana's invisible jet, and they're like searching around. It's a trope of like, you've seen it before, where they walk into the invisible jet, they don't know how to turn it on because all the buttons are invisible.
So funny.
It's so funny. I love this book so much.
And the backup story is adorable.
The backup story.
That's so cute.
little baby Trinity wants to fly a kite, so they bust Kite Man out of the prison to teach her how to fly a kite.
So good.
Amazing.
So good.
She-Hulk number 9. I saw a Rainbow Roll tweet that next issue is going to be the last issue. I guess Marvel is putting the kibosh on this, which I'm very sad because this is probably up with Ryan North's Fantastic Four. This is probably my favorite monthly title.
That's a bummer.
She makes a Hakeem Olajuwon reference. She-Hulk does in this comic that had me rolling on the floor just because it's such a weird rep. Like she talks about how she feels like she was Hakeem Olajuwon at the '84 NBA draft, and I was just like, I love that. I love that somebody wrote that as a line in a comic book that almost nobody will get unless you're over the age of like, I don't know, 40. I don't know.
So see, that was your Nasher Prize reference.
Exactly. Ultimate Spider-Man number 6. Fantastic book as well. Whole family finds out about it. I enjoyed that they take on both Green Goblin, this Ultimate Green Goblin, and Spider-Man take on Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, and get their asses handed to them, which is very funny because they realize halfway through they're like, "Oh, we fucked up."
Yeah,
this is like the closing arc of the first, the closing issue of the first arc too. So it really works.
Helen of Windhorn number 3. This makes me want to go back and read like the John Carter of Mars stuff, which I've never read.
Oh, cool.
Clearly based off that stuff because it's
it's definitely I see that.
Yeah, so it's definitely good. I read World's Finest. What is number this? 28. I love that Jimmy Olsen's about to save the whole universe. I love that they're playing with the different dimensions because it's an imp story, so Batman and Superman are stuck in between dimensions to go to the 6th, the 5th, the 4th, fall through until they're in the one dimension, which is just like so dots on a page.
So fun. Dan Mora. Oh, I think there's 2 artists on this one.
Yeah, here they are in the single dimension.
So good.
This is just a fun book. It makes me excited for, even though this is not any kind of lead into Absolute Power, the fact that it's just Mark Waid.
Who knows? He might drop something at the end of the arc.
He might something.
He always does that.
Batman 149. I guess Batman gets a real hand again.
The epilogue of Failsafe. That's what this is.
This is kind of what I was needing at the end of the last movie. Also, Batman gets a new house. I also read Destro, this Doctor Strange, Blood Hunt tie-in. Jed McKay, great art.
I never heard of Victor Strange. I don't know who he was.
I didn't know he had a brother. It must have happened. I'm not a huge Doctor Strange. I think it's his brother.
I don't know. Well, gonna sound dumb in the video. Okay.
Iron Man, this is a great comic, but also feels like Fall of Krakoa has happened. Now this is just like,
how do we wrap this up? There's one more. I think there's one more
issue.
I think the next one's gonna be the divorce of Emma Frost and Tony Stark.
Tony Stark, the annulment.
Nice.
I had never read Spider-Man Reign. We have Daniel. I have a book club next week, so I finished this off so I could.
I never read that either.
I love it.
It's not my favorite Spider-Man book. It did get me to thinking what would be my favorite Spider-Man book, and I've chosen Spider-Man Yellow.
Spider-Man Blue?
Blue.
Or Blue, yeah, Blue.
Daredevil's Yellow.
Daredevil's Yellow. Spider-Man Blue is
he's a coward.
Yeah, because Daredevil's coward.
Okay.
The man with nothing but fear.
Yeah. Jeff covered all my books pretty much, except I did pick up Last Ronin, Re-Evolution number 2. God, I haven't read it, but I'm gonna keep buying it because I like the turtles. I like turtles like that kid in the video. I also read Dracula Blood Hunt number 2, where Daredevil makes an appearance. So good. I never thought I would want a book with both Daredevil and Dracula in it. Here we are. All right, before we get to recommendations to close out, because we're already running very late. Clay, did you want to touch on any of the? I know that there's still a few things we didn't get to on your list. Is there any that you feel like we need to get to right now? And
No.
is it the Beavers one?
Well, that's it. That's my recommendation.
Okay, cool. Let's just segue that into recommendation. You can start.
I had heard about this movie, Hundreds of Beavers, and actually saw that I could watch it streaming. So I sat down and watched it with Shelby. It is really entertaining. It is a silent movie, kind of. It's done with green screen, puppets, animation. It's a mix of all this stuff, just telling the story of a hunter. And as he works from becoming a new hunter to an experienced hunter, and there's a little shop where they have like things he can exchange for, and he has a daughter who he falls for, but it's all done just like a silent movie. So and I just don't want to say any more than that, because it's just kind of a neat watch, because I would say it may be a little too long, because I do get to a point where I feel like maybe they could have trimmed like 20 minutes off.
Like so 80 Beavers total?
Yeah. I laughed. I enjoyed it. It was something I don't think we're going to see anywhere else. If you want to see something completely different, that is what this is.
All right. Nice. This center stage thing is killing me here.
Yeah,
I was gonna
your
say,
cameraman's going crazy.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the cameraman's smoking a little on duty.
I got the center stage feature. There we go. It's finally back to where I wanted. All right. Let me go next. I'll let you guys close out, because I kind of, I'm going to recommend this book. It's called Lawful by Boom Studios. It came out last week, but I didn't get to read it till now. It's from Greg Pak, which I love Greg Pak, with art by Diego Galindo and Irma Nivilla on colors. Letters by Simon Boland. I'll do an actual review after, probably sometime this weekend. But the premise is, like, in this world, if you break the rules, like, you physically change. So, like, if you break a rule, like, you might get, your hand may turn into a monster. Like, if you break enough rules, you turn into a monster.
Oh, wow.
So that's like, and I'm talking about like small rules, like jaywalking, like just any of the rules that are established by society. So it really makes you think. Like, I would probably, I don't think I'm a bad person, but I would definitely be half monster by now. 30 years. So yeah, it's really cool, really interesting. So I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Greg Pak doesn't, like, he just does really fun stuff, and I hadn't seen him do fantasy stuff like this in a little while. So recommend that very much. All right, Josh, what do you got?
Two quick things in honor of our topic today. There is a humble bundle, of course, but it is all Godzilla comics. $18. You get 25 items that include Godzilla.
You want to share?
What?
You want to share your screen?
Oh, dude, yeah. Sorry. Hang on. I am dumb and unprepared.
Like I said, doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
All right, there we go. So $18. They're all IDW titles, so you get things like Godzilla in Hell, have Century War, which is really good. I've read that.
Great one.
It
Rulers
because of that.
Yeah, I know exactly. Rulers of Earth, volumes 1 through 6. I have no idea what that's about, but it's a lot of Godzilla. Best of Godzilla looks like it also has Mothra and Ghidorah. Godzilla Rivals, just Godzilla, Cataclysm.
Here There Be Dragons, which is nominated for an Eisner, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, all right, that's cool. I've never read that one.
Godzilla Goes to Hell.
Yep.
Oh yeah, there. Yeah.
It was at the top. Godzilla Goes to Hell, yeah.
Yeah, it was like the first one, I think.
Rage Across Time. Yeah. This is so worth it if you're a Godzilla fan and you don't have any of these.
Yep. $18. You get all of them. Nice. It's great. So that's one. The other one is just today that we're recording, June 22nd, is Free RPG Day. So go to your favorite local game store. They should, if they participate, they should have some free RPG stuff for you. And Go play an RPG. They're fun. I like them.
Pretend your Godzilla is invading your town, like Clay said.
Yeah, exactly. You will be for disaster.
Go to your local city hall and ask them for the town preparedness RPG.
I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, they just hand you an old NES SimCity cartridge.
It prints out in that printer that like has the little hole, the perforated. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Jeff, close us out with some real good.
Okay, cool. Also, in the same vein as Josh, on today, Dallas Vintage Toys. Today, what is today? The 22nd, Saturday the 22nd. Dallas Vintage Toys is having a sidewalk sale. It is their big sale. I think they do it twice a year, maybe.
Where is that shop?
Yeah, where is that?
Is that the one off of 35? No, right?
No, it's off of Plano Parkway in like Forest-ish. It's like Dallas.
Right.
Anyway. They're having a big sidewalk sale today. I'm gonna hit them up a little bit later. Also, the Shout Studios YouTube channel is streaming the Elvira movie Macabre show. So Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, used to have her own like movie watch along show where they would just show old monster movies, and she would do the interstitials where between the commercial breaks and stuff, where she'd make a couple of jokes or whatever and introduce the movie and then outro the movie. So they're just rolling these things through. So you're getting to watch Elvira, and then Gamera was on the other day. I don't know what other monster movies they've been showing. Gamora.
Oh. Cool.
But it's fun to watch the old Elvira stuff because they don't. I think other than Sven Gulli, they don't really have any kind of like shows where somebody at the drive-in or whatever that show is.
The last drive-in.
The last drive-in. Yeah. So there's only like a handful of these shows around still. But they're always fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, they had Elvira on for like her anniversary last year and did a whole Elvira episode. The Haunted Hills of Elvira, I think, was the movie they showed.
All right, great. Well, you guys have fun stuff to do. I'm just gonna go pick up an order from Sam's Club.
It's a giant pallet of bottled water.
Yeah, water, toilet paper. Then
there you go.
I'm getting ready for my own. I'm getting ready for my own emergency RPG over here. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. People that were in the chat. Adrian, very nice to hear from you.
Yeah, nice to see you, man.
Yeah.
Yo, Jenkins, we all sweated through the Godzilla movie, so don't you worry about it. I think as you get older, you just sweat a little easier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you guys next week. And thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.
The most important thing in life will always be
Hell, Bebo.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.